Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm having a funky day, just an off day. I'm tired and I'm going to go to bed after this. But other than that, I am okay. So I hope everybody's doing well. You're at Sow and Tare live chat. We do this every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for the first Monday of the month we do on Thursday. And do all things homesteading related, questions about all different things, doesn't matter what our topic is. I'll introduce a topic a little sooner than than usual. Usually I let us go a little bit with a chat and then do topic. But I want to introduce what I'm drinking tonight, just because it's not water. This is my nectar peaches from my old place. We pureed them and then freeze dried them. And so I made powder out of the freeze dry, and that mixed with water gives us this juice. So having a freeze dried powder means that one, for this in particular, it has all the fiber in it. So when you eat fruits, you should be eating fiber as well. And that makes everything work better together. And when you do it this way, that happens. You can see there's some stuff floating at the top. It's going to be little bits of peel usually, and it's really good. And there you go. Yay. Okay, let's see who's here. And I am on my phone today, so it might be a little weird scrolling. Actually, I'm going to have to move this. Hang on. Let me situate you guys a little differently. I got to flip this around. Maybe. Okay, let's see here. No. That doesn't work. I'm using a chopstick to try and level you guys. It's not working. Okay, well, we'll just be a little crooked, and you guys will be okay with that. If you're not, I'll turn my head this way. Okay, so you are in the right place if you're looking for Sow and Tare live chat. And you guys were here way before me. Dawn's here. Good evening. Good evening, Dawn. Hope you're doing well. PJ's here for a few. Awesome. Hi, PJ. PJ is a member. She's a Katrina's Kit. She's a member of the channel. We do a Cook With Me live every month. And I have a question. I did see Erica was on here too. I don't know who else might be on here as far as members. But do you guys like the idea of doing the 8th of June? That's a Sunday. I think it's a Sunday before Father's Day. Let me know if the 8th of June works for you guys. That's what I'm looking at. 22nd would be an alternate, but the 8th I think would work better for me. Let me know. And that's how we know what day we're doing it. Oh, Dawn has storms heading that way. Oh my gosh. I hope they're 40 minutes away. Oh my gosh. I hope they are okay storms and that you are safe and you continue to be safe. Verna's here. Verna is Vase Place with a Little Blue Wrench, and she is a moderator. And if you want to grow things in your apartment setting, check out her channel. She also does a live chat on Saturday mornings. All right. Everybody's saying hi. Everybody's saying stay safe, Dawn. Yes. Oh, Dawn got first 2 quail eggs tonight, 6 weeks old. And nice 14.6 grams. Figured I'd get a fairy egg. Yeah, you don't always get a fairy egg. Sometimes they're weird. Sometimes they're like, you'll get one with no color. Sometimes you'll get a fairy egg. Sometimes you'll get an egg with no shell. This depends on the girl. A fairy egg is just a small egg. It usually doesn't have everything inside, but still edible. Oh, she says you probably missed the fairy egg. As it probably didn't have a shell. Yeah, maybe. And it might not have done through that. Yeah. Oh, Dawn had weather on Friday. Driving through it for 45 minutes. Oh my gosh. You got home with 7 minutes to spare. Are you getting tornado weather or are you getting bad thunderstorm weather? Because they're both bad, but one's worse. Yeah, I hope you stay safe. Yeah, first eggs are always exciting. Erica's here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Erica. Welcome, welcome. Erica is also a member of the channel, Cook With Me Live. Again, we're looking for if the 8th works of June. Verna says next 9 days it will not hit 70 here. Oh, you have a cool down, huh? Yeah, we've been in the 60s. Yeah. Okay, Dawn hasn't had quail in over a year, and you want more exciting eggs. Ordered more, and yeah, you how many did you hatch in a row? Like 3 or 4? That's awesome. Good luck. And good luck and happy hatching, just like Verna says. All right. Oh no, heat rashes are not good, Dawn. I'm sorry. But you know what? You're out working and there you go. It's not fun, itchy. Yeah. I get that, but hopefully it means that you were having fun when you were outside doing your yard work. Yeah. Erica, I am on my phone. Otherwise, I could show people that. We'll show them next time. Okay. Erica sent a picture of, so she has a service dog, Lucas, and he's very cute. And I'll show them next time though, because I'm on my phone and I don't know. I saw the text come in, but I don't know how to do that. Next week, Erica. Yeah, Lucas is super cute and he's super smart and super the good kind of reactive as far as service dogs are. He reacts really well. Good. Steve's here. Howdy, howdy. Hi, Steve. Steve is in blue with a little wrench. He is also another moderator, and he is awesome and has quail and is a good guy. And Steve, you remember I asked you about that light on my oven? It's on again for some reason. The light that says the burners are on is on, even though they're turned off. I don't know. It turned off by itself last time, so yeah, everything's off. Anyway, welcome. Everybody's saying hello, hello, hello. Did she stick a fork in us? What? I don't know. Did I? Are you done? I don't know what that means. Jacob's here. Hello all. Just got in from adding automatic waters to the chicken coop. Tomorrow I'll add the water bucket. Awesome. Did you see my video on that? I have a video on that. And with the automatic float valve. I will be putting that in with my animals once the water is turned on up there. The pipe is there because that just got put in last week, I want to say. But it's not hooked up yet. So we have to wait for it to be hooked up to the house. The water line to the house is changing. It's in the ground. It's just not hooked up. Hopefully that'll happen, I don't know, this week or next week. So there we go. Automatic water is where it's at for plants and for animals. That is where it's at, because if you have automatic water, you turn that water on and you have that water connected to your bucket. So you can do this 2 ways. So there's a long-term automatic water, which it has a container, a bucket, or a bigger, what are those called? I want to call them ABC totes. Is that what they're called? That's what they're called. The bigger ones. And that holds a certain amount, and then it lets it out to where the drinkers are. And then the other one is what I'm going to do, and what I have done in the past, which uses a bucket as a reservoir and does that, but then also has a float valve in it, and it fills from the tap, basically. So from your hose bib. And that will be what I do, because it just makes sense. It just makes sense to always have it on. It doesn't work in winter because it's going to freeze. So then you got to turn it off and drain it. But as most of the year for me here, and all of the year from where I used to be, it is a great way to have that water. So yeah, I wonder if this will help. I'm trying to not have you guys be sideways, or have me be sideways. Is that better? I don't know. Okay. So, and Jacob is also a Katrina's Kit, a member of the channel. Let us know if the 8th of June works for you. Works for Erica. Good. Steve, thank you for the member link to be a Katrina's Kit. He even named the group. Thank you, thank you. Ooh. So PJ says that might be my last Sunday living in New York. So is that a no? Is that a you're skipping it and I'm doing it with Erica? Did you get a house? We need more information, PJ. Oh, no house yet, but we'll stay with my son until my house sells. That makes sense. It makes sense. Well, so let me know if that works or not, or if you're okay with skipping, and Erica and I and whoever else comes, we'll do it. Congratulations. I know it's kind of weird congratulations because you're like going to be homeless, but you will have a home. Congratulations. Tommy's here, Aquatic News Network. Whew, I am late. Does this count as late? Dang it. Howdy, fellow Earth creatures. Howdy, Tommy. You're okay. It's not too late. And Steve says you're never late. Oh, Erica has storms coming through as well. My goodness. My goodness. Wait, I missed Howie? I didn't see Howie. Hi, Howie. PJ's saying hi. Phone. Verna, I'm so far behind, I don't know what you mean by just phone. I have not been paying much attention to things, especially this week. I'll dive in a little bit. So, as you guys know, I dropped my external hard drive. I don't even know how long ago, two weeks ago, whenever it was. And they sent it to recovery. And so now recovery is asking for money, and I need to do that before they can recover. And then I've been using my other hard drive, and I was going to back it up over the weekend, and it stopped working. Worked one day, didn't work the day I went to back it up. A lot of it is backed up, but some of it's not. Took it down to Best Buy, spent all day Best Buying. That's not a sentence. Since I spent all day Saturday in Best Buy because they said to bring the computer, but I didn't know they wanted to do diagnostics on my computer. I thought they just wanted to see what it came up with, when you plug it in. Turns out that hard drive needs to go to recovery. Not made of money, guys. And my computer they wanted to keep for diagnostics just to check things out. It's done. They're not telling me anything about it, and didn't respond when I asked if I'm going to be there between this day and this time here. There's people scheduled, so I'm probably going to go down tomorrow and get it. It's an hour away. And so they said that they would have the computer up to 4 days, and so I was in Best Buy editing videos. So this week and next week, minus the week in review for next week because that hasn't been done yet, were edited in Best Buy. So I uploaded them there and all that just because I'm like, just need this done. I need to not lose data. I need to just do these, and then I won't worry about things and hope the live works on my phone, which it does. So that's good. So that's one of the things going on with me. I did not expect that, but my neighbor called and asked to borrow something and I didn't have, and turns out they had it at Best Buy. So I was like, I can get it for you. So that was good because that's an hour away. All right. Dawn says Friday I could see the tornadoes in St. Louis. Also headed my way with intensity. Got through the last town before home, and trees went down as soon as I went through. Yes, we are in Tornado Alley. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you got home and that you're safe. Please continue to be safe. Yeah. Jacob says we had some pretty bad storms last week. Had 4 tornadoes in Wisconsin. Wow. My brother's in Wisconsin. I haven't heard anything about that, but it's okay. Well, I'm glad you're safe too. My goodness, everybody's having storms. We got 0.07 of an inch last night, this morning. of rain. There you go. Okay. Everybody's saying hi. Everybody's saying hi. Hello, hello. Oh, so Erica's talking about the puppy. He went to a wedding on Saturday. Aw. We'll show it next time. She did send me something. Oops. Whoa, what just happened? No. We'll show it next time. All right. Is it humid there? Here or where Dawn is? I'm sure where Dawn is it is. No. It was a little bit more humid, but not humid like what you're talking about. So the humidity here is not like you're not sopping wet. And I know like in the Midwest and in parts of Texas that can be true. Where you're just like when I went to college in Iowa, I lived in a dorm that didn't have air conditioning. And like you took a shower and you never dried off. It just didn't happen. You couldn't dry off. And like you went to bed in wet sheets because it just made everything wet. I'm like, why do they have a dorm without air conditioning? Air conditioning, for those that don't know, and I didn't know this before I went there, takes moisture out of the air. So also dehumidifiers, they didn't have those either. All right. Dawn says Friday night, everyone was doing 70 miles an hour and 55 to get it out, to get away. Yeah. Yeah. And Tommy says, nice. With our colder winters we've been having in Texas, I'm about to switch our water lines from PVC over to PEX. Yeah, so this was just explained to me, and maybe Tommy, you can explain it a little more. PEX, when it freezes, doesn't burst. It bulges, stretches and bulges. And PVC, does it crack? It's more of a straight line thing. And then water lines, like the black water lines, that like just kind of shatters. That was just explained to me because apparently my water line, my current water line, which is going to not be servicing the house soon, is just that black irrigation pipe, like a 3/4 inch black irrigation pipe or 1/2 inch or something like that. It's a little scary when we looked at that. IBC, there we go, not ABC. Thank you. IBC totes is what I'm talking about for holding water. Yeah. Okay. And you got one for a water catch for your wild chickens? Hose bib outside water valve. What are you doing? Oh, are you not familiar with hose bib? Or I didn't say hose bib, did I? I don't know. Anyway, they're all words. They were words that work. You guys understand. Jacob says, I'm thinking I will get more of the Wynola waterers and put that in my coop. I put some pigeon waters in for now. That sounds good. I use, for my chickens and for my quail, I use the ones that has the little yellow plunger. So there's no water in there until they peck at it. And it works really well. It doesn't have mosquitoes and have junk in it. And if you put it high enough that they reach into it and they don't go down, they actually reach up and drink, then they don't sit in them and poop. So there we go. All right, works for you. Cool. We are writing down the 8th. So anybody who is a Katrina's Kit, a member of the channel, or who wants to be a member of the channel and joins before the 8th can join us. We are making... Erica, can you send me a recipe or that you like for that? Or do you want me to find one? And Erica, can you put in what we're making? Because I don't remember how to say it or spell it. We're making something that Erica requested, which is basically a rabbit stew that's with pepper, like black pepper rabbit stew. And you can use chicken, you can use quail, you can use whatever you want. You can make completely something different if you want, and we can talk while we cook. You know, sometimes it's whatever's in someone's freezer, like, oh, I have something like PJ made, I've never heard of this. So one time we made lasagna and PJ's like, I'm going to make seafood lasagna. I was like, that's a thing? Apparently it is now. And that's what we do. We learn to cook with each other. We learn, you know, what works, what doesn't work, all that stuff. There's always a recipe or a semblance of a recipe, but if you don't like, I don't like onions, therefore I don't put onions in things. Other people can put lots of onions in things. If someone's allergic to something, well, then don't have that. You substitute with something else. So it's fun though. So, okay, we're going the 8th. And PJ, if it doesn't actually end up working for you and you're not there, then we'll forgive you. All right, Tommy says, oh, so you're doing PEX and an inline RV filter between the bib and water hose. Oh, yeah. Mine goes through a pH up, and I don't really know exactly what that is because I have acidic water, slightly acidic water, and so it goes through pH up, which basically brings the pH up to a more neutral number. I don't know what the number is. I haven't actually measured, but yeah, and then it has a filter. But if you have city water, there's different stuff that is put into the water that's not so good for your plants. Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing too is like the PEX, like the original PEX, when PEX started coming out, it was made a little differently and it really did suck. But now that, okay, here's this is separating. Oh, let's shake it up. This is peach juice made with my freeze-dried powdered peaches. So the old PEX wasn't that good, and the new PEX, I guess, is a lot better. That's what I've heard from contractors. So, yeah. Steve says, I hope that PJ is homeless for less of a period than you. She'll be at her son's. So anybody that's rewatching this, PJ's been looking to move for a while. So she's moving in with her son that lives in the area that she's wanting to be in while she waits for her house to sell. There you go. Don says, I have an IBC container the gutter will drain into if I flip the valve after the roof washes off. I think it's 350 gallons. Forget how big it is. Yeah, I thought there were 500 gallons, but it could be 350. I don't have one. Yeah. Yeah. Dawn says, I think that is a fairly new computer too. I'm sorry. I think the computer's okay, but it's given everything that's happened, just life-wise right now. I mean, all the file issues I've had, might as well just have them check it out, do a full diagnostics, see if there's anything that needs to happen. Oh, and the other thing, if you didn't watch the video from today, you might not know this, but Rexy the chicken, she ended up passing. Last week I saw her. She didn't look that great. She was on the floor of the coop. Her comb was sideways, and we talked about this last week as well. But her comb was sideways, was like flopped over and not as red as it should be. And she just didn't look that great. And I got her to get up and walk around a little bit, and I checked her for all the external things I could check her for. And I started them on rice and lentils, and they really like that. All of them really like it. Apparently, the lentils I gave them yesterday, they didn't want. I don't know why. They picked around and ate all the rice for some reason. So I don't know what that's about. But anyway, so rice and lentils is. So last year before, something like that, I think it was Purina or maybe another brand that was having an issue with their nutrition kind of makeup of their food. And the answer to why won't my chickens lay for the people who had those was to add rice and lentils to the diet. and as an additive, not as a substitute, because that had the nutrients that the bagged food was missing. So I just figured, I don't know, I'll give them that. We'll see what happens. Man, they like rice. Cooked. All this is cooked. And anyway, so I've been continuing that with other girls, but anyway, so Rexy lasted, found her in the evening. She lasted all the next day. And then the next morning I found her, she had passed. So she's buried underneath one of the trees out there, and don't know what happened. The other girls appear to be fine. So I don't know if she got stung by something or bit by something or ate a bad bug. I have no idea, but she definitely had a downward spin pretty quickly. She was also molting at the time, and her feathers were regrowing. So it wasn't like she was losing feathers and they weren't growing back. They were regrowing. So I'm guessing that maybe she was a little bit less. Her body was putting nutrients into feather growth and not necessarily dealing with whatever she was dealing with. I don't know. All I can do is speculate. Anyway, so after that, after some other things, and after the computer stuff, and then after all this, I'm just like, just keep the computer until we know what's going on. So, yeah. Yep. Yeah, when it rains, it pours. Yeah, and I'm not telling you guys all of it. I'm okay. But, yeah. So, I guess I'll bring up the topic of the day, which is sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes things don't happen the way you want to. Sometimes you wake up in a bad mood. Sometimes you wake up not feeling good. I woke up not feeling good today. I don't know why I don't feel good. I don't know. I can't really identify what doesn't feel good. I just feel off. And so I want to know what gets you guys into a better mood. So I know sometimes spending time with the animals do for me. And then also, honestly, I don't know if you guys know who Trevor Noah is. He's a stand-up comedian. He was on The Daily Show as a host for Daily Show for years and years. But if you look up Trevor Noah and like his first time trying tacos, that always makes me laugh. All the time. Every single time, that will make me laugh. So I want to know from you guys what cheers you up, what gives you a chuckle, what kind of sets you back on the right path, because we all have this no matter what we do. And it's even more important to find something that's like that to get yourself going, especially when you are responsible for other animals and other things that you have to tend to. So I guess it's homesteading related, but it's people related, All right, let's continue and see what people's answers are a little bit. So Dawn says humidity is very high, and yet we need rain. Storms went over last night, but we got a mist. Yep. Yeah, Verna says dehumidifier can be your best friend during the summer. Yeah, so during the summer in Illinois, when I was in Iowa, I laughed because I saw a sign on a thing in the gym that said, do not turn off dehumidifier. I'd never heard of such a thing, right? I mean, being from the high desert, it's dry. We had a whole house humidifier. There's no dehumidifying going on. And I was like, well, how would you even do that? And where would the water go? And what the heck? Like, that's not a real thing. When I was in Illinois, in Macomb, which Steve is familiar with, we had a dehumidifier, and it took out gallons out of the air every single day in the apartment. And I mean, gallons. And yeah, you have to dump it. It stops working when the thing's full. You have to dump it. Yeah. I don't need that here, though. Jennifer's here. Oh, Jennifer works on the 8th. Awesome. Oops. Welcome, and awesome. We will see you on the 8th. Any idea what we'll be cooking on the 8th? Yes. Erica would have posted it by now. It is a rabbit stew that has pepper, like black pepper, And I think dumplings. If we do dumplings, I'm probably going to do biscuits, but we can do instructions for dumplings for those that want to do dumplings. I prefer biscuits, but I think it's traditionally made with is it Hopfenpfeffer? 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 What is it? Anyway, I'll try and pronounce it again once I see it. Yes, Hassenpfeffer. Hassenpfeffer. If Erica spelled it right, which I'm sure she did. Thank you, Erica. Yeah, and you'll have to send me either a recipe or tell me to find a recipe. See if there's something specific you're looking for. All right. Joy's here. Hello, all from Western Oregon. Hello, Joy. Are you getting all of my rain? Because my rain keeps on not raining as much as it says it's going to. Welcome. Awesome. Erica's going to send something. Hassenpfeffer. Yeah. I am not going to use the blood of the rabbit. Is that an ingredient? I mean, I have some rabbits out in the cooler that I keep dumping the water out of. I didn't know I needed to save it. No. Is that a typical ingredient? Oh, Erica's making quail pepper. Yeah, never eat blood. I don't need to. Oh, you guys are making quail. So this is how this works. Anybody that wants to join and like, man, I never had the right ingredients. We substitute all the time. And really all I mean, you can make a veggie one if you know how to cook tofu or you doesn't even have to be tofu. You can make it without. It can just be veggie. You can make it with us and it'll be fine. The point of it is to have fun cooking together and to learn something along the way. And if you're brand new to cooking, feel free to jump in. And it's a safe space for brand new to cookers. Brand new to cookers is not a great English. Come on. If you're brand new to cooking, then jump in with us. And it's a newbie friendly. There you go. What? You gave us a topic? But you didn't say what it was? Yes, I did. The topic was what makes you happy or chuckle or smile when you're feeling not great. 7 is neutral. That is correct. So we're talking about pH. Yeah, so I don't remember if mine was a 5 point something or a 6 point something, my water out of the well. But I have it's like a big cartridge thing. It looks like one of those big oxygen tank things, but it's not oxygen. And it's called a pH up. And the water goes through there and it picks up something and goes, I think it does something to basically neutralize the pH. I don't know what the output pH was. I know when it started, it made me itch because it was too basic. And then it was fine. So there's going to be a range that it stays in. And apparently I have to change that every year, which kind of sucks, but yeah. Right, you will still own your own house, PJ. That is true. Not technically homeless. Dr. Lebe alone. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. We talk about homesteading stuff here and all sorts of fun things. Let us know what you're growing, where you're from. Okay. Steve says IBC tote is 275 to 300 gallons. All right. Yeah, PJ, I know Rexy is, and Dawn's saying sorry too. Everybody's saying sorry. You guys. Yeah, thank you guys. I'm glad I had a warning. I honestly thought that the second day that she lasted all day, I thought that I was going to wake up to a dead chicken, but she lasted all day. She drank, she ate, she was a little bit sociable, but still a little lethargic. So I'm at least thankful that I had warning, right? So if I were to just get up one day and go out and see the chickens and there's a dead Rexy, Rexy's a chicken, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I would have been still upsetting, but more upset than I was. And These are my pet chickens. So those anybody that's new might not know that. These guys I basically hand raised from they're a day old when they are hatched. They're hatched 4 years ago on St. Patrick's Day. So like almost 4.5. Well, 4.25. And they basically grew up on a tote next to me and my pandemic chickens. And it's funny because they don't I had to teach them to stand on things to rip them. Like usually chickens, you just throw something in, then they immediately stand on it and then they use their mouth to rip it. Well, my chickens were not doing that because they were used to being hand fed by us. So anyway, Dawn says, I am sprouting lentils for my quail. My parrot is too spoiled. He hates them. He likes sprouted black oil sunflower seeds. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't eat these. So I have lentils that I freeze dried is what I'm using. And I rehydrated them. It's really easy to do. You just pour water over them. Lentil, and I've had these freeze dried lentils for a while. I like freeze dried lentils because lentils take like 45 minutes to make if you're doing it on stove. And even if you're doing it in a pressure cooker, it still takes some time. And it's usually an ingredient that I forget about. Like, oh yeah, I was going to make that. I was going to start that. And then I don't. So having freeze dry, you can just take a couple spoonfuls and put it in there and add water and there you go. Or even just put it into whatever you're doing and have the steam rehydrate it. And it works really well. But for whatever reason, they didn't eat it. They love the rice. So hopefully they can't have too much rice. I'm gonna hold off on that, I think, a little bit, but they're loving the rice. Yeah. And Tommy says, oh, it's still here? Lighting a fire. Oh, s'mores. There we go. Right. So never give birds raw rice. Really any of the grains that poof, it can mess with them to the point that they're not going to come out of it. Always cook it. Yeah. Eat a tadpole. Tommy, I don't know why you're telling me to eat a tadpole. If you can clarify, that would be great. Okay. Food Force is here. Greetings, Katrina Earthwings. Greetings. Hope you're doing well. And you're getting storms here pretty soon too, right? Is that right? I think so. All right. Verna says that often happens with animals. You can guess, but never really know what happened. Yeah. And I did not do a necropsy on Rexy. I did not feel that it was necessary. Her sisters are looking fine still, so that's good. Like if it was like bird flu, her sisters would already be affected. And honestly, anything that she would have contracted, her sisters would have already been exposed to. So it's kind of like, well, what do? You just do what you can for their best health and go from there. Yeah. What? They are in the coop. They don't have tadpoles. Can't they eat tadpoles? What? I'm sure they could eat tadpoles. Where am I going to get tadpoles from? Why are we stuck on tadpoles? You guys are saying, did I miss something? How are we saying smoke herbs? I don't know why you guys are saying these things. Oh, things that make you happy. There we go. I'm sorry. Tadpoles. Tadpoles make you happy. Okay. That's true. Don says, laughing at things gets me in a better mood and controls pain. Yes. Tommy says, or if you're one of those people that stuck in the simulation where somebody turned all the difficulty way up, it sucks a lot. Yeah, it does. Talking to you guys. Aw, PJ. My grandsons and my kids get me out of a funk. Well, always here for you. And Verna says, sometimes life throws wrenches and you just have to dodge them a lot. So you're saying like exercise. Zumba, huh? Zumba? Whatever it is. Tommy says, family and nature. Also, staying busy on projects always livens me up. Working out definitely helps. Yeah, that does. Helps increase my mental status as well. True. Yep, exactly. Erica spends time training Lucas and Talitha. Those are the two doggies. Did I say that name right? Did I say her name right? Talitha? Yeah. Joy says, chilling with the critters or hard work? Hard work actually is, I think, more of a distraction than anything. But sometimes it can get you going good. Dawn says, when I couldn't walk with living with that pain, I use my headsets to listen to talk shows to break my concentration on the pain. Anything to distract. Yeah, distraction. Yep. Tommy says, spending 5+ hours in a blind, zoomed in, what? Oh, in a blind. Okay. Focusing on your breathing, not to move, so you can get still footage of a bird or fish you've been trying to capture. Oh, man. Pretty relaxing and resetting, too. Yeah, you're saying, so talking like a blind, like a duck blind, or like so animals can't see you, kind of a blind, and taking pictures. Yeah. I wish my old camera worked. The camera that I use for video, it's really just for video. I miss my old PowerShot camera, my Canon, because I have it, but it doesn't, the focus is weird. But it used to be, PowerShot was great. And then I'm talking about the last one, probably a year or two ago. This is the last time I looked. The last PowerShot that they have is made for creators, and it doesn't have the zoom, and it doesn't have the macro, and it doesn't have it's totally different. It's even like this way, like a phone now. They tried to make it a phone. So I hope they backpedal. Yeah. Dawn says, then if I got down and realized it, I would block, switch focus ASAP. There you go. Yeah, Erica's in a humid place. We have 2 dehumidifiers to keep down the humidity. 2 dehumidifiers in your tiny place? Wow. Andy says, hello. Hello, Andy. I hope you're doing well. Are you in storm? Because it seems like everybody else is. All right. Oops. Brenna says, dumplings can simply be biscuits that you drop into the OPT. I like baked biscuits. I do. Only one S. What happened? Oh. What? Okay. Okay. Oh, into the pot. Okay. I'm like, what's an OPT? Option? Heavy sprinkles at Joy's place. That's either means it's raining or that's what makes her happy, is lots and lots of sprinkles. I'm guessing it's raining. Yeah, it's been weird. We have really dark gray clouds and then blue sky. So it's very weird. Cooks in training. There you go. Steve says, if I'm sad or not happy, I take a nap. A nap fixes everything. I am not one to nap, but right now I'm tired, so I might go to bed early. I will go to bed early. When I nap, if you guys ever see me and I'm napping, I'll be out, because it means I've just been stressed. The stress has passed and my body needs recharging. When I was in college, my roommate came in and I was face down on my bed. I had my backpack partway on one arm, hanging over the edge. she thought I was dead. Because I just got in and just, it's been a while for that. Maybe that's what I need though, Steve. All right. Dawn says I made hydroponic water today. What? Okay. I just read the rest of it and it makes sense now. Just the first part of that sentence by itself, Dawn, did not make sense to me. Stop confusing me. I made hydroponic waters today and used pH up and pH down both. So Dawn grows hydroponically inside. And when you grow hydroponically, you have to use for a particular pH of water for certain things, and they have to have a particular nutrients that go into it. So that's why she's saying I made hydroponic waters, because otherwise, without the explanation, it does not make sense. Good. So you use both of those. Do you use them? Do you use up and down for specific plants, or like what's the purpose of both of them? You call a reset? Yeah. Okay, Tommy. So Tommy also, you don't grow hydroponically, do you? Tommy grows fish. He raises fish, like fun fish. pH up adds minerals to make out more alkaline. Yeah, I know it does, but what are the minerals? That's what I want to know. Calcium, maybe? I don't know if they'd add calcium. I don't know. Yep. Oh, with salts, electrolytes, or calcium. Okay. Okay. Oh, electrolytic salts. Got it. Not electrolytes. Yeah, electrolytes wouldn't make sense, would it? Oh, Dawn, please get somewhere safe. Tornado watch. 298 is in effect until 3 a.m. CD for my county and several around me. I don't know what 298 is, but I'm guessing it's a highway. Yeah, get somewhere safe, please. And batten down your hatches. Stay safe. Tommy says, I meant maybe the bird ate a tadpole. No, they're not eating tadpoles. Some tadpoles are toxic. Which ones? Is it bullfrog? I haven't seen bullfrog here. The only things I've seen here so far is Pacific coarse frog, Pacific tree frog, whatever you want to call it. And I've heard that there are western toads in the region. I have not seen or heard any, and I would have heard them by now if they were here. If anybody knows what western toads sound like, go. Except for much higher and much louder. All right. Dawn says, I sleep so sound during storms. I would never wake up. Yeah. I mean, big storms, maybe not, but rain and all that, that's nice. Yeah, if you were to go over and I'd rather be in your sleep, that's true. That's true. Tommy says, herons are one of the few birds that have adapted to distinguish the difference between toxic and non-toxic tadpoles. You know, I bet a lot of water birds have, because if they're in the water all the time, they have to rely on that. So I'm sure they do. And I mean, tadpoles look different. So like the Pacific tree frog, which is the most common here, the most common where I was, they have a golden spiral on their belly. And I mean, I don't know if you can't see that from the top, but there's not many options here as far as frogs go. And the western toads look different. And red-legged frogs, yellow-legged frogs look different. So I'm sure a lot of the water birds know a lot more of that. Tadpoles grow up, then you can eat a fried frog with legs. Oh my gosh, Dawn. I still have not had that, and it doesn't sound appetizing. Tommy says, I actually caught some great footage of a green heron hunting and catching a gigantic tadpole. some wetlands near me. Awesome. Green herons are very cool. They're very cool. Sue says, just like my grandpa, not like other people screaming in his car. Oh my gosh. Yes, some frogs are poisonous. That's why I was asking about bullfrogs, because bullfrogs, they have their eye, and they have a little ear hole, and they have a thing right here. It's called a tympanum, and it's on adult. It's like that big, and if it gets, if an animal gets it in its teeth, what it does is it secretes something, and it tastes bad, and so they spit it out, or that's what's supposed to happen. I don't know if it's poisonous or just tastes bad, but it's a defense. Food forest smokes herbs. Makes you feel better. All right, I do not do that. Tommy says green herons are one of the really cool species of bird that actually uses lures. Yep, to catch fish, like pieces of sticks or even their own feathers. Yeah, I've seen them do that, and it's pretty cool. What they'll do is they'll take something and they'll throw it out on the water, and then they'll like wait for the fish, and they'll nab it back and throw it out and nab it back, kind of like how people fish and they fly fish, and they touch the water and bring it back, and touch the water and bring it back. It's kind of like that. Tommy says pawn shops. A Canon Rebel T3 is plenty good for nature shots. Get a telephoto lens and a polarized lens, you're set, and a sunshade. See, what I miss about my old one, which I have, I don't know where it is right now because I haven't used it, is it's literally this big. And it fits, like, the fishing shirts that has a little pocket here? It fits in there. So I could go hiking and like just have it there. And if something happened, and pull it out, and there you go. And now that's what people do with phones, but the phones don't have nearly the macro or the telephoto capabilities, and you can't focus on what you want to focus on with one hand. You got to hold it and then put your finger where you want to focus, instead of just saying, oh, whatever's in the middle, half down to focus, let's move it around a little bit and then click. Like, they made something easy be complicated, which is, I guess, the job of tech people. Okay, macro lens if you're taking pictures of video for flora or smaller critters. Yep. Verna's not near any storms. Are you jealous? No, hopefully you're good. Good night, Food Forest Permaculture says good night, Earthlings. Good night, Howie. And good night to PJ. Good night, friends, she says. Time to sleep. PJ gets up early. Sue says we have so many storms and tornadoes. We only watch the weather to see when we'll have sunshine. When you'll have sunshine, huh? All right. Dawn says I don't nap. It's for I was one, but I didn't nap, and I'm old. Oh my gosh. Have to be sick to nap. Yeah, for me, it literally is super, super stressed. Then the stress has passed, and then my body's like, fine, you can relax now. Yeah. Tommy says, yes, just some poisonous and some poisonous based off of what they eat. Right. The poison dart frogs aren't poisonous unless they have their rainforest diet. Yeah, exactly. Then metabolize the toxins from the ants that gained it from the plants and excrete it through their pores. Yeah, yep. And that was a mystery for a long time. People, would take poison dart frogs back and not understand why that would be. But yeah, they excrete through their pores generally, so they can use that slime to coat their egg sacs to protect their young. Yep. Okay, so Dawn does hydroponics. She also has 50 to 70 hydroponic plants that I start quickly for the garden. Yes, so she uses the pH up, which is more basic. For blooming plants, mainly down for starting my 8.5 pH water down to 6.0 for starting seeds. plants and greens. You have 8.5 for your regular water. That's pretty basic. Low numbers are acidic, higher numbers are basic. 7 is the middle. Okay. Dawn says starting cucumbers tomorrow. I actually bought plant starts at the high school kids were doing a plant sale. So I bought plant starts there. I've bought some other starts. I'm not starting seeds this year. I think I'll start green bean seeds, that kind of stuff. But I'm not starting other seeds this year. I think I have it as next week. It might be this week. I think it's next week. I did start garden beds with rabbit poo and some raised bed mix, and it's literally just going to be a line, like a mound, small mound, and that's what I'm doing this year because I don't have the time or patience right now. But there you go. It's going to be good though, because the soil in the garden is already pretty good. It doesn't have that much, like it's darker than the surrounding land, but it's not like dark. It doesn't have a huge amount of humus in it, not of organic matter in it, but it does have more than, the natural native soils. So it's already good, but I'm giving them a head start with a little bit better nutrient on top. Okay, Dawn says that is the 298th tornado watch this season, I assume. Watch, not a warning. That's true. Okay. And Dawn's starting cucumbers hydroponically. Tommy says, I think bullfrog, it's still a topic of debate in the science community, but I caught a heron eating a what? A Cope's gray frog. I'm not familiar with that one. I am, however, familiar with the Far Side comic of I think it's a frog that's being eaten by a heron and it's grabbing onto the heron's neck. Anyway, Dawn says big storms, lightning, thunder equals sound sleep for me. Yeah, for me too, unless it's too much wind. Like the wind really kind of picks up and gets me worried sometimes, but yeah. Yeah, no sleep for Verna with the loud sounds in that case. Yeah, but I like the storms. I agree. Sings you to sleep, Dawn. Yeah. Tommy says it's just a question of whether they adapted to know the difference or whether their bodies have adapted to eat them, whether they're toxic or not. Absolutely. So some animals are like that. Like Pacific rattlesnake is the venom is as toxic as it is because the ground squirrels, the California ground squirrels, Belding's ground squirrels, whatever the ground squirrels are. I think California ground squirrels is what the study is that I read. Basically they have an arms race. So the ground squirrels have what's it called? Like an immunity to the rattlesnake venom. And so the rattlesnake venom has to make it more, and then they get it and it works. And then, then a bunch of them survive that are, super ground squirrels. I don't know. And then, so basically the snakes have to up their venom, it's going like this and it's not coming down. Yeah. Yeah. Dawn has blue herons there. I don't think I've seen any herons here yet, but I also haven't been here a full season. I don't think I've seen any herons yet here. More things migrate here. Like there's a lot of birds that migrate here, and there's a lot less that stay here. Yeah. And Tommy says that herons are amazing for the ecosystem. Yep. I bet if you have outdoor koi ponds, well, if you're feeding herons, there you go. Brenda says, funniest sight ever is to watch a dog after it caught a frog, and others think they have freebies. There's a foam in the mouth going, ew. Yeah. Camcorder, huh? Canon Vixa HFR 600 camcorder. Yeah, I don't know where any pawn shops are here. But yeah, I don't like to pay real price to much either. But I'm probably not going to go searching for that right now. The only fools pay for flies. Don says, if it gets bad here, I'll listen to the ham radio. You can tell exactly where and when tornadoes are and where they're heading. True. And actually, I just got I got 2 ham radios because the person who was talking to me about that said it's always good to have a backup. I'm like, well, that makes sense. And so a local group here is talking about the local neighborhood, greater neighborhood, whatever. It's talking about ham radios. And so I'm going to get the training and all of that. I just haven't signed up for it yet. You can listen in on ham radios, I guess, without training, or without a call sign, but you're not supposed to use them without that official thing. They're not that expensive. I got mine from Walmart online. Tommy says newts are a big topic too, along with gobies, especially the ones in Hawaii that climb their waterfalls. Sticky bodies allow them to do it. Yeah, we have the California newt and the rough skin newt look very similar. I think we have rough skin here, and they have almost like a brick red, brown, reddish backside, and then the ventral part is this bright orange. And apparently the skin has the toxin, and crows and ravens in some parts of California at least have learned to not eat the skin and to break open the animal and eat the inside, and so they don't get affected. It's interesting. Freshwater gobies. What? And Tommy says a new hamlet fish was found in the Bay of Campeche by Alfonso Algar Herrera. Cool little hidden predator that's blended in with corals. And they finally found it. Fine. That's good. You like biology talk. That's good. You missed our talk last week. Or was it last week that we were talking about that? No, when was it? Whenever it was I'm making cookies. I don't know. Verna says my nasturtiums are up. Woohoo! And my borage is just breaking soil. Tomorrow I start the hot weather spinach and Melbar spinach. What is the hot weather spinach that you plant that doesn't bolt? Yeah. John says my soil is still cold. For cucumbers, beans, squash to start. Dirt cold with the rain. If we actually get it, it'll rot the seeds. Yeah, I had that happen 2 years in a row with peas, unfortunately. Get to the next week when it should be 50 degrees, dirt. It's good. It's a cool fish. Yeah. Oh, so Tommy, this is a new find. A few pictures, huh? Yeah, I have some friends that are in the fish groups, like Dead Fish Society. Does that exist everywhere or just in California? I don't know. Tommy, you would know about it if it exists where you are. Dead Fish Society. Anyway, he's part of that. Tommy says, as time goes on, certain prey develop tolerances. Yep, for venom. Yep. Adaptation in one hell of a drug. Exactly. Verna says a lot of farm dogs in rattler areas. I don't know that they have the same relationship, but I think a lot of times loose skin is the good thing because it doesn't get into the meat of the body. But yeah, and then there's a vaccine for rattlesnakes for your dog. I don't know how it works, but there you go. Take it or leave it. Yeah, for the ham radio, Don. Yep, you have to take the license test. Yeah. And Verna says, my believed if you like or need something important, you need at least 2 backups. Backup to your backup. Tommy says, speaking in California, there is a study in the process of over sturgeon, a group of sturgeon found in Smith River. Smith River is in Oregon as well, right? Isn't it in Southern Oregon? Oh, Dawn says, don't have cell phones. Your husband carries them in the car. Yep. Well, he uses ham to let you know, hey, you always have that you always have that capability to talk to someone then. Okay. So someone's working on grants to dive the length of the Smith River and collect information on the sturgeon. Sturgeon are interesting. They're like prehistoric animals, basically. Oh, Malabar spinach. Verna, Malabar spinach, just make sure you plant it somewhere that you want it to grow later because it readily seeds itself. And if you didn't plan on planting it there the next year, then you'll have lots of transplants. Is my experience in a place that didn't freeze like you guys. Yeah. Yeah, Tommy says, I have so much Malabar, it permaculture's well. Exactly. You think the ice killed your saffron? How deep did you plant it, Verna? Because you can plant it like that deep. Like 3-4 inches deep as you can plant it. But then also it needs like kind of free draining soil. So if you planted it in someplace that held water for a long time, that might have happened too. Oh, Tommy, look up Dead Fish Society. You'll get a kick out of it. I thought it was all over the place, Steve. Tommy just didn't know about it yet, man. Right. So Tommy's saying donkeys aren't bothered by snake bites, venomous or not. Horses are actually used for the anti-venom for a lot of snakes, actually. I was just going to say rattlesnakes, but I think it's for a lot of snakes. And they actually they expose the horse to it, and then the antibodies the horse makes, the blood is drawn out, and then I don't know how they get the anti-venom from the blood, but that it happens. Science happens, and there it is. Yeah. That's the typical way of doing it for humans. And then I saw something. I don't know if I'm going to spread rumors or not. So, take it with a grain of salt. There's a guy that apparently has been doing that to himself. Not advised. And I think they're going to try and make anti-venom for very dangerous snakes from his stuff. I don't remember where I read that, so look it up and either believe me or don't, and I'm fine with either one. Oh, Verna says, farm dog I knew 47 years ago in Arkansas got bit by a few rattlers. The worst that happened to the dog was it went off for a few days until it got over the snake bite. But after the first time, it never had another problem. So it may have like vaccinated itself. I don't know. Yeah, the rattlesnakes can control the amount of venom they put out. So if it's a dog and they know it's a dog, they just need it to go away. It's not the reason for their venom. The reason for their venom is to stop prey from moving so they can eat it. I mean, that's the reason for their venom. And that works really, really well for the rodents or birds or whatever they're eating. But if it's something bigger, that's why you do survive, is because it doesn't give you enough to kill you for the most part. Baby rattlesnakes, they say, and I don't know, I can't quote anything from this. So supposedly they don't know how to control their venom yet. So it can be full on, and it's also not like a rattlesnake has countless amount of venom. So if they've used it, they may dry bite anyway and not use the venom that they have. In any case, there we go. Oh, I thought you gorilla planted some saffron, Verna. Yeah. Sturgeon are amazing. Extremely prehistoric. Yeah, they haven't changed for millennia. Kind of like the the pronghorn hasn't changed since, there were fast running bears and stuff like that. Saber-toothed cats. Their biology hasn't changed, which is amazing. In pots. Get deep pots. Okay, so you don't know what kind of snake that was that bit. Yeah, it could be copperhead or rattler. Copperheads are nasty too. There was a copperhead that we caught. I was out with someone trapping turtles for research, and the area got so turtle traps have a base and a round part, and you basically hang the bait from the top of the round part inside the trap, and there's a fike net that goes in, so it's like a funnel. And so they make their way inside and they can't find their way out. And there was a copperhead one time, because you put it in the water with floats so they can come up and breathe and all that. There's a copperhead one time. We get to the trap and there's this thing going like this. And it had eaten its fill of the bait and was trying to get out of the little hatch, things. And it was too full, so it couldn't get out. So the person I was with had to take it out. And I stayed away from it. Dawn says hubby was bit by a copperhead and ordered a week off. We went to Kentucky to visit his dad. He had a full coiled rattler in his freezer. Oh my gosh, that's not good. Erica says we had a dog get bit in the face by a copperhead. He swelled up for a few days, then was fine. Emma says exactly, babies haven't learned how to regulate bites. Yeah. So I've seen there's a couple of Facebook groups from my area, and I've seen someone posting about snakes they've seen here recently. I haven't seen any yet here, but it doesn't mean they're not. And there's a whole slew of them that could be here. So that's good. I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it's good because they're eating the rodent population. Yeah. Mr. Ringo and Miss Mama Kitty can't get all of them. Yeah. Update on Mama Kitty. I don't know if she actually has babies. I've been saying this. I've been saying I don't think she does, but she's kind of disappeared the last couple of days. She's kind of hanging out a little, but she doesn't come up to eat when I'm there anymore, which is not good because she has a vet appointment soon. Hopefully I can get her. And so I haven't seen the babies, but they're also talking a lot back and forth, her and Ringo. Like the other day, I was sitting on the front porch and Ringo was down by the bushes, and all of a sudden he got up and went and was looking up that way, and he took off. And so I think Mama Kitty was calling for him, and I don't know where she is. She's been, but she's that way somewhere. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. If she has babies, I don't know about them yet. And this is just recently that she's changed her behavior. So, because she has been sleeping here at night, usually. All right. Dawn says, last time I slipped off the boat dock, getting the boat on the trailer, I fell in with 30 water moccasins or more right there. They scattered, walked out of the boat ramp. Yep. My recommendation is don't do that again. There's my take on it. Yeah, so with water moccasins, I don't need to deal with them either. We don't have water moccasins or copperheads here. As far as I know, we just have rattlesnakes as far as like poisonous. As far as pissy goes, that would be the yellow-bellied racer. They can be pissy. But there's a whole slew of other snakes that can be out here. Garter snakes, gopher snakes. Actually, don't know if we have both kinds here. If it's mountain gophers, or not gopher snakes, king snakes. If we have mountain and Californian or not, any of them, I don't know. But I've heard gopher and I've heard one of the garter snakes. I haven't looked up what kind. Racers, yellow-bellied racers, and maybe rubber boas. That might be at higher elevations, but maybe rubber boas. And those guys are very cool. Rubber boas literally look like a garden hose. Like they look like a garden hose feels. And that is, it's a really, really interesting animal. They are out earlier than other snakes because they're the way their thermodynamics work is they are okay with cooler temperatures than other snakes. So they're out earlier in the year and also out later in the year on the other side of things. And their tail, basically the vertebrae in the tail, which a lot of people don't think of snakes as having tails, but they do. It's the stuff after their vent. The vertebrae are fused and it makes a little ball. And so their defense mechanism is to coil up with their head underneath and their tail up in the air like a snake, like the head of the snake. And they whap the animals that try and get them. They also will shake their tails in grass and like leaves to sound like a rattlesnake. A lot of snakes do that, though. So anyway, they're cool. Because you're mistreated than their toes. Oh my gosh. Don says, I'd mash a snake. That's not good. I'm not allowed to jump with one knee. Oh no, that's not good. I would just leave it alone. Yeah. Yeah, I don't kill snakes. I think they have good things to do in the world, and they are rodent control, and I'd rather have snakes than rodents. So that is my input there. Yeah. So I used to have snakes as pets, so maybe I'm a biologist and I used to have snakes for pets, so that's another thing. Oh, it was trying to strike you? Don't go near it. Every animal has a purpose. Yes, it does. Brenna? You're okay with them? They don't bother you? Well, yeah, I'm okay with the snakes. They help out. So yeah. All right, for anybody just coming in, and if you are a Katrina's Kit, or if you want to be a Katrina's Kit, which just means being a member of the channel and doing the Cook With Me live with us every month, we are doing that on June 8th. I will put something out, I don't know, maybe next week, but it'll be June 8th. That's a Sunday. I believe it's a Sunday before Father's Day. So that is our plan, and we're going with it. All right, just a little commercial there. Okay, Steve says every animal may have a purpose. The purpose of the snake is to help build the compost pile. No. Oh my goodness, you guys. Thank you for the link there, Steve. All right, so I'm feeling like talking about water was a good thing earlier. So I want to say again that using a water system for your animals and for your plants is a very good idea. They say the best thing for your garden is your shadow. I disagree. I believe the best thing for your garden is automatic water. A lot of times when people water by hand, they water. Oh, good night, Dawn. I missed that. Good night. A lot of times when people hand water, they either don't water enough or water too much, and both of those can be detrimental to your plants. So there is a little bit. You have to figure out exactly what your plants need, and then it still may get underwatered or overwatered depending on what you do. So making sure if a storm is coming that you do a rain delay. If the rain delay is on there, I recommend doing rain delay instead of off, because I have turned it off and forgotten to turn it back on. That's not fun. Yeah, and like Steve says, great, even better when you expect it regularly. Just because you have automatic water does not mean you don't have to check it, especially with animals, because their lives are a little bit important. Yeah, definitely check the water, make sure it's working. And then in some areas, if you're in an area that has like a lot of calcium, a lot of buildup on stuff, then depending on the severity of it, it could be every season or it could be every few seasons, to detach your whatever your drip hoses are or whatever, and soak them in vinegar water, and that will break up the calcium and it'll flow nice again. So if you're having that issue, go ahead and disconnect it, put it in the bathtub or something, or bucket, or I don't know how big your system is, but that will get the calcium out of the line. And then, so that's a little bit of maintenance that has to happen. The other thing is, if you do an automatic system that is on a faucet, like full on, to make sure you change batteries if batteries need to change, and all of that. So if you've tried different things to do with your animals, like you try a water cup versus a water trough versus a water nipple versus all these different things, just find what works for you and have lots and lots of spares. So because it's going to be a when, not a if. So when they go bad, you can swap them out. And that is something that's good to do at the beginning of the season. So like now is the beginning-ish of the season for me. So if I had stuff established already, I would go out, change the batteries, and get things lined up and ready to go. So I don't think I'll have a problem here with the calcium buildup, because I don't have that here, but at my old place I definitely did. Yeah. Okay, Andy says an auto water system for my animals is best in my opinion too. It saves so much time, and it's a lot less headache because let's say an emergency pulled you away and you needed to go somewhere, and maybe you can't get a hold of your neighbors to feed your animals. You know, an animal can go without feed. If they're quail, they're going to be hangry, and you may have dead ones on the way back. But they can go without feed, but they can't really go without water for that long. So if there's an emergency, you're at least covered with the water. You don't have to tell anybody what to do with the water. You just have to tell them what to do with the feed. It creates less stress on everybody involved, including the animals, you, and whoever's taking care of your animals. And it just saves time. It just saves time. Yeah. Steve says vinegar can also help control algae buildup. Yep, absolutely. And another tip, when you're doing automatic water systems and you have a reservoir, be it an IBC tote or a bucket, if you have a white one, go ahead and paint it or cover it, because it will make algae on the inside. If you have like a Lowe's bucket that's blue or something like that, or if you painted the bucket and the lid, you know, black or something, then it won't grow algae. So if the sun hits a bucket that is somewhat see-through, and yes, white buckets are see-through, you can see the light in it, then it can make algae. So even though it's not clear, the light still goes through it. So that's something to think about, especially right now at the beginning of season. To, you know, if you just made the system, I don't remember who said they just made the system. Was that Jacob? Yeah, make sure you have the correct bucket color. I think he said he used the bucket, or that you paint it or cover it in some way so the sunlight doesn't grow algae. So that's going to be important. And then always, if you have a valve turned on for that, put something in place so that someone doesn't turn it off. I have had someone turn it off before, and all of my animals not get water for a while because I did, like, it just wasn't on. And I didn't know it was on because it's always on, right? And so always check it. That's why you have a reservoir there. So in case something happens, they have enough water for at least a little bit of time. But you know, I wired mine open after that point. You know, there's the handle, and I wired it there and wired it open so that it couldn't be turned off by someone passing by someone watching the animals, by whoever, so that your buckets do that. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. Andy's agreeing. Oh, the blue water. Your feline puppy, huh, Steve? Oh, the blue Lowe's buckets are not algae proof. They do need regular cleaning. Okay. I got some blue ones, so I will paint them or cover them. Thank you for letting me know. I've used the blue ones before, but they've always been in shade, and I've never had a problem with that. In fact, the chicken waterer one, the one that I used for the chickens and rabbits at my old place, it was like tucked underneath the eave of the garage, and it was fully shaded, and it did not have an algae issue. So if you have a white bucket and it's absolutely shaded, then at least in my experience, it won't have an issue. But if it's in the sun, it will. So I will definitely cover mine. Thank you for the tip, Steve. And 340's here. Hi, Tim. Late to the party. Hello. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Question for you. Did you get your plants hardened off? I know last time you were on here, we talked about hardening off plants, and I'm hoping your garden is doing better now. I did a video on that, but the hard drive it was on went. So I did not redo that video. I will probably redo that video next year. Hopefully people heard it here and have heard it before, or will ask about it. But I do want to know how that turned out. Okay. Here's your party hat. Verna says paint them black, then paint over with thick white, black to protect against algae and white to protect against heat. That's actually a good idea. I'm not seeing people do that before, but that's a good idea. Another thing you can do is cover it with like a insulate. You know that insulated, the insulated mylar bubble wrap. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? I don't think that's what it's called, but it has like bubble wrappy stuff, and then like small stuff, and then the mylar on one side. That you can make a bag out of that too. That would be good and reflective. I'm planning on putting mine in a place that is mostly shaded. Yeah. But good tip. Steve says, also, if you only have a 5-gallon bucket, keep it in the shade. That water and sun can get very warm. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Hey, Tim. Yeah, it's like aluminum foil. Yeah, but it's Mylar. Yeah. Oh, you didn't do a good job hardening off, Tim. Round 2. Yep, round 2 is good. Round 2 is good. And it, I had a neighbor here that told me a mouse got in and ate all of her seedlings early on, so she had to replant. So things happen. Things happen. Yeah. And I didn't remake the video, but basically what you need to do for hardening off is once the plant has real leaves and is really going well, you give it a couple days outside, not a couple days, sorry, a couple hours in the morning or in the evening, or in the morning and evening in the shade somewhere outside. And has to be in the shade. If it's going to be a super, super hot day, wait on it and do a cooler day. Really great days to do that are cloudy, overcast, it's somewhat cool. But you put it in the shade somewhere for just a couple hours and bring it inside. Next day, a couple hours, bring it inside. Next day, a little bit longer, bring it inside. And I know when people work, which we all do, right? You can have a little struggle with that sometimes. So just do it in the morning and the evening, and then slowly you can move it out into a more sunny area. It can take about a week of hardening off to do that. So just understand it takes some time, and you still might have some leaves burn back. I bought some plants at like I said, the high school plant start sale. And I did not realize that they were not keeping outside, and some of the leaves are quite burnt from the sun. Yeah. So, all right. Sue says, that's gardening for you, Tim. You get to do do-overs. Exactly. And Verna checked on the pear tree. No pears this year. My pears are about that big. They're not ready yet. Oh, Tim says, we're having a scorching week here in Florida. Any tips on watering? Soil is very sandy here. Do you have a watering setup ordinarily, or do you rely on the Florida rain for your rain? Because if you have the water set up already, I would do early morning watering, and maybe even a midday watering and an evening watering. And it not for on all the time, just so it gets a little bit moisture in there. Usually you're not supposed to really water in the middle of the day. Sometimes I don't live by that rule because I feel like the plants are not doing great, but you should be okay with that. But because it's sand, it might need a little bit more moisture. For sure, what you want to do is you want to work on your soil. And the way to work on your soil, whether it's heavy clay or heavy sand, is to add organic material, organic matter. So you can add compost around the outside. Now, you don't want to thick of it, but you can add compost. You can add stuff like that. But honestly, what works well is to cover with something like straw or leaves or something, so that the ground is actually covered. So when you do water, the ground stays moist, and that's going to go a long, long way to helping your plants. And so adding organic material, but that's going to be a long-term fix. So it's not gonna be for this week, right? I mean, it'll be for long term, and to incorporate more of that into your soil. And then the thing that I would do now is I would cover the ground with something, and whether that's pulling up weeds and putting it next to the plants that you want to live, next to, not on, and that will shade their roots. You want their roots to be shaded, and you don't want the ground to dry out too much. So another thing you can do is set up shade cloth. I mean, in your area, I definitely would invest in some shade cloth because it gets hot there, right? It gets super hot there sometimes. Yeah, invest in some shade cloth, or like, I think Costco, I don't know if you have Costco there or not, they often will have, which they call them shade sails, and it's triangles of shade cloth that have the rope already on it. So like if you're in a rush and you're like, oh man, I need to get this now. I don't know when they have it in their stores, but they often have it in their stores starting in planting season. Yeah. Anybody else have anything to add to there? But you basically want to make sure the soil retains moisture, and the way you do that is by shading it some way and also adding organic material to it long term. Brenda says, Tim, you can also seed start in the ground, cover with milk bottles as greenhouses. You can do that, but if it's going to be super hot, you definitely want to like do the milk bottle, but then not have the lid on. And that's more helpful in an area that's not hot. So his situation right now is that it's super hot. And so that's going to maybe cook those plants. So I think that's a good idea for cooler climates as a starting, because he doesn't need a greenhouse. He needs it cooler. Yeah. Mulch. Exactly. And what you choose to mulch with is up to you. And that's, I was saying straw instead of hay, because hay has seeds. Straw isn't supposed to, but it always does. All of that. It could just be weeds that you pull. You're like, hey, I have these weeds that I'm pulling anyway. They're just going to be right here. And some of them may reroot, but it'll act as mulch. So yeah. Berna says, no signs of pears. I think they got killed by the freeze last month. That could be. Yo, you found Anna apple tree. Very good. Anna apple, I used to have that variety. It's an early variety, and it always gave me a second crop, which was very cool, because it's nice. Now I have 3 apples that will give me the crop in the apple season. So early apples would be good to have here. I did not buy any apple trees because that's something that I want specific varieties of later. And yeah, that'll be good. Okay. 340. Tim says, don't have anything set up yet. I water with a hose in the evening mostly, and the lawn sprinklers 2-3 times a week. Okay. I would say when it's hot out and you're watering with the hose, realize that there's hot water in the hose. So run the hose until it's not hot water, because otherwise you're just boiling your plants. So a lot of people don't think about that. You're like preheated the water. So yeah. Something just started itself. I was not touching it. I don't know what started itself. What? And it won't let me scroll. Oh, there it is. Erica, I can read half of the letter at once. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know what you said. So sorry. I can't see what you said. Oh, member for 18 months. Yes. Erica has been a member since almost the beginning, I think, right? Or at the beginning? I think so. Yeah. Okay. I wish this thing would go away. I have about this much to see now that came in. Go away. Okay. Oh, Verna also just found cherry plum trees. Those are good. And Tim says 98 all day. Ground dries quickly. Yeah, you need to increase the moisture in your soil, and the two ways to do that is shade, which is either mulching with something or shade cloth. And then the other thing is to add organic matter, but then also, of course, watering. So if you're watering plants, it's a good idea to not necessarily water in the middle of the day. They will look wilty, and for the most part, they will just look wilty, and they will recover in the evening. Some plants might not like that, and they may not recover, but for the most part, they will. And if you water in the morning before the sun rises, or at sunrise around that time, and the evening after the heat of the day, then that should be good for your plants, because that's what I would do. The other option I can see, I've never grown in actual sand like Florida has, but if you did a soaker hose, I wonder how well that would work instead of with a hose. Does anybody here grow in sand, like super sandy soil? Because I would think a soaker hose might be okay, because you can put that underneath the mulch and then it wouldn't evaporate. People, put your input, please. Yeah, but soaker hose might be. And with soaker hoses, you have to be kind of careful, because if you get the 1/4 inch soaker hose, they don't go very far. So you have to look at what your pressure is, and if there's more pressure, the further it will go. And that's all math stuff that you'll have to figure out on your own. But yeah, if you have what are they, like 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch soaker hose, I think, like that, you can have things coming off that too. All right. Thank you for Super Chat, Eric. Okay, or start, or whatever, whatever we did. Verna says yes. Okay. Oh, you bumped the phone. Well, you are showing that you are a member. Oh, the puppy got a hold of some yarn. I'm untangling while listening. Oh. Steve says, remember that some plants don't like to get their leaves wet when watering. Some like groundwater, other like watering. Okay, so part of what I didn't finish. They don't like, so part of why you don't water during the day, during the middle of a hot day, plants have leaves, and on those leaves are what's called stomata, STOMA, I think, and they're basically little valves that close during the heat of the day, and they open in the morning and the evening to respirate. So that's when transpiration happens. That's when the gases exchange with the air happens. All of that. But when those stomata are open, moisture loss happens, which is it's called transpiration. Moisture loss happens, and what you want to do is you want to keep the moisture in as much as you can. And when you water, that can stimulate some of the processes that makes them open. And I don't know exactly what the mechanism is behind that, so I'll let that to you guys. But that's one. And then another thing is, if it is hot out and you put cold water on hot leaves, it's going to affect those cells. Like if you were to can something and you put a hot jar on a cold counter, it can shatter the jar. A similar thing can happen as far as damaging the cells in the leaves. If cold water hits hot leaves, you can have a temperature change that can damage the cells in the leaves. And then if you have hot water that you're putting on a hot plant, that's just not good anyway. So never water your plants with boiling water. But the opposite can be true as well. So that's part of the reason why I would say I like drip systems and soaker hoses and stuff like that, because it waters at the root. And so it avoids the issue of watering the leaves at inopportune times, and it also avoids the issue of when you do that, it can actually introduce disease or fungus that's in the air to the leaves by the water, which in Tim's area, I don't know if that really matters because you have humidity, but it could. And so you're going to have someone local about that. But I prefer to have drip irrigation or, irrigation that happens around the roots, preferably. Yeah. And you're going to have to if you're new to that, you're going to have to look at it and kind of time how long you want it to go, and then set up the timer so you know how long you want it to go. Like, depending on your water pressure and depending on the length of your hose and all that, it can take a different amount of time to water a garden with those variables. So you're going to have to look at that for your own thing. So hopefully that made sense. Thank you for the reminder, Steve. Andy says, any advice on if a plant got too much water and lost its leaves? Yeah, don't water it anymore for a while. Sometimes they'll recover, sometimes they won't. If you can direct water away from that plant, like if it's like sopping wet and you can make like a little ditch like this big, right? If you can just go like this with your hand and direct some sort of drainage away from the plant, then that will help. And you're going to want to kind of let it be. Depending on what you already have in the soil, once it's kind of dried out a little bit, you might want to fertilize some, but I wouldn't do it right away because that plant's dealing with recovery and it needs to deal with the water situation first. Yeah. Okay, Verna says, found out what the sticky sweet smell I kept getting whiffed of was when a peacock plant, I don't know what that is stressed, it sends off scent. Fix the problem, no more smell. I don't know what a peacock plant is. Yeah, Verna says let it dry out. So 340, Tim, will peat moss work as mulch? Peat moss will work. I don't know that. I mean, you can put it there and it'll work, but peat moss holds water, and it's usually mixed into the soil. So peat moss, coconut coir is another thing that's so peat moss is from peat bogs, and it's a non-renewable resource. So you can totally use it. Just understand that when you're using it, it does hold water. It does hold water well. And it comes from peat bogs, where basically like people store things in bogs that historically, like butter, and people can still dig it up today from years and years and years ago and still have like fresh butter. I don't know if that's a real example, but I know they have found corpses in peat bogs, and they look like they're completely fresh. So that's just a side note. So yes, peat moss will retain moisture. It's not often used on top as a mulch. I don't know why it wouldn't work, but it will dry out. I would say to mix that into the top layer. And you can mix into the top layer. Yeah. And coconut coir is a renewable resource that acts similar to peat, and that people also mix into their beds. You can also mix in vermiculite. Vermiculite comes as, it's not always really puffed, but it's like a puffed rock. It's like a rock popcorn. And if you go to a garden store, at a real garden store, and you ask for vermiculite, they should know what it is. Vermiculite is used to add moisture to the soil, and perlite is used to add drainage. So you don't need any more drainage. Vermiculite you can add to the soil. So if you were to mix coconut coir and vermiculite and your sand together and make that a mixture and then put that back on the ground or in a bed or something, then that will be a really good mixture for you to have. And if you're going to do that, if you haven't planted things yet, that's what I would do. Is I would do a third of each. I would do a third coconut coir, a third vermiculite, and a third sand. And maybe even mix in, I would probably mix in a lot actually of the some compost, and make that your mix and put that in a garden bed, or like a raised bed, or just on the ground bed. And that will give you a lot better. And you could do peat moss instead of coconut coir as well if you already have it, especially. But that will give you a really good mixture of soils. I was thinking of like you already have your plants there and what to do for that. But yeah, if you're mixing up some soils, you can do a mixture of those three things plus the compost, and you're going to have a good bed for sure. And I'm sure vermiculite is sold in places, and I'm sure peat moss and coconut coir are likely sold in places where you are as well. Sorry I didn't say that earlier. You're right in the stomach. That is also true, Verna. Raise or lower, or raise the acid. Yeah, so it'll lower the pH. So peat moss will lower the pH, make it acidic. That is true. So I don't know what your starting acidity is, but that's something to consider. I forgot about that. Yeah, and Steve's saying it's better to be mixed into the soil than used as a mulch. Yep. It can become water repellent when dry, making it difficult to re-wet. This can hinder water absorption into the soil, which is a primary function of mulch. Yeah, so if you have peat moss, I would use it, but I wouldn't use it as mulch. I would mix it in. Yeah, and that's another thing. So Andy says, I think peat moss as a mulch would keep it too wet and soggy for the trunk. So in the wet season, it will keep it probably too wet. And in the dry season, it's not going to be as valuable as you want it to. Yeah. But if you mix it in, then it's going to be perfect. Guaranteed. No, not guaranteeing anything. Andy says, it's my Stella cherry tree. The hubby didn't make a big enough hole in the clay for proper drainage. It was very soggy in the whole clay soil. Okay. You're going to dig that up if you can. So a plant versus a tree, two different things. I thought you were talking about like a tomato. You're going to dig that Stella. You're going to want to dig that Stella up. If it's in a kind of a poor drainage area, which it sounds like it is, and you just learned about it, what I would do is I would get it some good soil and actually plant it above the ground there. So make a raised bed. If you can think back to at my old place where my chickens were, to the right of that was where the peach tree is, and I had a raised bed around actually this tree, around the peach tree. And what that does is it keeps the main amount of roots out of the super saturated area. And so what you do, if you were planting a new tree, you would take it out of the pot and literally put it on the ground, say, okay, it's going to be this high. You build your, whatever your boundary is. You don't even have to build anything. You can just do a big mound, and have your soil or your all of your nutrients that you're doing up there. And before you plant it, dig a little hole into the ground, and mix the native soil with what you have above. So your plant it has a chance to get used to what's there. And then if you have clay soil, here's a tip. If you're digging a hole with a shovel and you dig down and you go like this and go up, what you're doing is you're making the bottom of the hole smooth. And so before you put anything into that hole, once you've dug it, you're going to want to take the shovel and stab down into the bottom of that hole. When you stab down to the bottom of the hole, you break through that smooth surface that you just made. You break through that and you make micro fissures into the soil below. And that will help you because the water will not sit. It might still sit, but it won't sit as much as when you just took a shovel and smoothed out the bottom. It will actually drain down, and then when the roots get there, the roots can actually go down into those fissures as well. So I do think you do want to dig it out right now. Hopefully it does okay, because you just planted that, right? You just planted that this year or this last year, I think. If it was a bigger tree, I would say, maybe leave it and see what happens. But yeah, I think you just planted that. And so what that does is it gives that top layer, it gives that all the roots a snorkel. So they can breathe, it can get gaseous exchange, all of that above the ground level. Because the ground level is so clayey that it's not allowing, it's allowing water to sit. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if that didn't make sense. Yeah, you're getting so much rain. Yeah, this will help because root rot on a fruit tree is going to be worse than root rot on a tomato or something, because that's just one season, whereas a tree is like forever, right? So you're going to want to remedy that when it's young. Tommy says moss under gravel or decomposed granite would be great. The upper layer will keep the moisture in. You're thinking fish, aren't you? That would work. It would also reflect heat though up to the plants if you had gravel on top. Vermiculite or perlite. So vermiculite is for retaining moisture and perlite is for making spaces within the soil structure. So perlite is something that is to add drainage, and vermiculite adds moisture retention. So they look like they do the same thing, but they actually don't. Yeah. Tommy says I make jarscapes and do a planium style substrate, so in beneficial layers, basically. Yeah, I've seen some of those. Perlite is what Andy needs. Yep. So you can add perlite, but I don't know that it's going to be necessary for her if she adds that upper layer. And you can add perlite into that for sure for Andy. Good questions, you guys. Yeah, to keep the soil from packing tight like clay does. Yeah. And you're only going to be able to affect it down to a certain point. And the answer is, the long-term answer for any of that is to add organic material. Usually that's in the form of either a cold manure like rabbit or goat or alpaca, or in the form of compost. And that will get into the soil and that will fix these problems. It will make clay less like clay. It'll make sand less like sand, and it will make it all more like loam, basically. So soil has three main sizes. Sand is the biggest size, which has the most drainage. Clay is the smallest size, and it has the least drainage, but the most ability to maintain, to hold on to nutrients. So it holds on to nutrients and water. Sand does not hold on to nutrients or water. And and in the middle is loam, and that's a medium size thing. And then you have, sandy loam, clayey loam, all these different, it's all spectrum. And so really the answer for your soil, the long-term answer for your soil problems is to add organic matter, because it will bring it to the center. Somewhere in the center of that spectrum is where plants like it best in a general garden sense. Now, there are plants like peas that like sandy soils. There are other plants that like clayey soils. There's different plants that live different places, and they do that because of the soils. But hopefully that gives you an intro. Maybe I'll do a soils video soon. I think I've done that before. I did a let's talk about soils. I think I did a video on that. Okay. All you can get from Amazon, you can, or you can go to your local store, which I would do that with that. Okay, Tommy says pool filter sand will help to soften clay soil as well, or sand in general, as long as it doesn't have a bunch of stuff in it. Yeah. Sand is inert though, so no buffer or whatever. Yeah. Putting sand with clay and clay with sand, that will get you part of the way, but it also gets you part of the way to like cement. So organic material is a good idea. Yeah, Tommy says calcium, vermiculite, crushed coral, aragonite. I don't know that one. Great buffers. Okay. Sphagnum moss. Yeah, again, that's going to be kind of in the same as peat moss. Is going to be in the same thing with mixing it in, and probably be the best bet for that. Thank you, Erica. A ton of blended eggshell. Well, I don't know that's going to help sand. It might help. I mean, it's going to bring calcium into the mix. We can talk about that later if you want. And bone meal, yeah. Bone meal can draw in raccoons and possums too, so make sure you water it in. I don't know what it is, but critters with canines are drawn to the smell because it's bone, and it means dead animal, which means food. Yeah, always mix it in the soil. So if you're adding something to the soil like blood meal or bone meal or phosphate rock or any sort of thing like that, it's always good to mix it into the soil. And mixing it into the soil doesn't always mean like mix it into the soil unless you're starting a brand new bed. If you're mixing into an existing bed, you just sprinkle on the top and you go like this and you mix it in with your hand or with a trowel, just mix it, in the top couple inches. Mixing in stuff to an existing bed, you want to do kind of gingerly. You don't want to go all the way down the soil column, because if you do that, then you're breaking up the highways and pathways of everything that makes your soil good, which is the mycorrhizae, the little critters that are in there, little bugs, little bacterias, little all of that. They already have little pathways. And it would be like someone taking, like all these what are those movies? Natural disaster movies that, go into like cut off all of the highways, and they have to rebuild, and it takes forever to rebuild before anybody can get anywhere. Similar thing happens in your soil. So yeah, I'll do a soil video, but it's going to be a couple weeks because I already have stuff out. And tomorrow is the weekend review for this week because I missed one. So sorry, or you're welcome, whichever. Tommy says like a dog and a bone, I guess. Yeah. Yep. You want the roots to be able to get further down. 4 to 5 inches is not enough. You need 8+ in a perfect world. So most fruit trees, the main amount of, not most fruit trees, most garden plants and fruit trees and like things that we eat are going to have the most important roots are going to be within the top 18 inches of soil. So, so some fruit trees are going to be deeper than that, but a lot of the important feeding roots. So the feeding roots, they're going to be closer to the surface because that's where nutrients come from typically. If they're not coming from the broken up rock down below, or something else that was down below, the nutrients come from the sky, right? They come from fallen leaves, from dead animals, from poop. They come from above. And so your most important roots in most plants are going to be, for nutrient gathering, are going to be in the top 18 inches, 12 to 18 inches of soil, because they have to go out and search and find where these things are, right? They're going to search and find the nutrients. I recommended it before. I will recommend it again. If you guys look on YouTube for What Plants Talk About, it's about 45 minutes, an hour long, something like that. It's an old nature, nature, I don't know, it was PBS or whatever. It's old nature video. And there's a part of it in there that talks about a research that they actually have a glass or plexiglass, I don't know, a clear thing, and there's roots, and the roots are going and they're finding things, and they actually can film what is going on with the root, how long it stays in an area, and they plant nutrition packets in the soil. And so they can see when it's getting close to a nutrition packet, the growth of the root will actually speed up, and then it will slow down once it is in that nutrition packet, and it eats it basically, and then it goes on to the next one. So they're actually kind of hunting. It's just the prey doesn't move. So it's pretty cool. Check that out. I know I recommend it all the time. If anybody wants to put a link, I don't have access to the Facebook group right now because I'm on my phone and it only allows one Facebook. I don't know. Issues. But if someone wants to put it on the Facebook group, go ahead and put a link to that. It's called What Plants Talk About, and it's the nature documentary. It's like 45 minutes long or 50 minutes or something like that. But that really explains like how the roots actually work. Now that's the nutrient roots. Now there's also the water roots. Now for your garden plants and stuff like that, they're all going to be within 12 inches, 18 inches max. With trees, they can go deeper. So most of the fruit trees, like your peaches and your plums and stuff like that, is not going to be very deep at all. But some trees have a tap root that goes really deep, and those are the ones that are going after water. Now, you also have roots that go out for water. You have roots that go out, or you have roots that go down. And the roots that go down for water. They also go down for stability. So there's a lot to think about when you talk about trees specifically. But anyway, let's move on and see what else people are saying. Andy says, I did dig it up and put it back in a pot it came out of. Not seeing anything, but the top is still green when I scratch it. I wasn't home when he planted it. That's a great idea. I'll try that. Good. And that's a key tip. I think it's Thursday's video. I think I show you what that looks like when you scratch it and it's green. So if you have a plant that goes dormant or a plant that you think died, sometimes they can die back to the root and the root will do a shoot. Sometimes they die back just a little. Sometimes they're actually not dying back at all. And sometimes they die. This happens. But when it dies back, it looks like it's dead or whatever, test some of the branches. Are they still bendy? Yes, they're bendy. It's alive. If you really want to check, scrape the bark. This is specific to woody plants like bushes and trees. Scrape the bark with your thumbnail. If there's green under it, it's alive. And if it's brown, go a little lower and see if you can scrape maybe on the trunk and see if that's alive. Because it might just be that some of the branch died and the rest of it didn't. Or it could be dead. I always recommend planting it anyway, because you never know what the roots will come up with. Now, if it is a grafted variety and it comes up from the roots, you'll have to know that it's whatever the rootstock is, and either see what it is and figure it out and say, oh, I want to see what this plant is, or plan on grafting it. I have videos on grafting as well. So you have options with this, is what I'm saying. Okay. Solving problems today. I like this. Man, we're way after 8. That's okay. Okay. Tommy says, even more pending on the plant, but your run-of-the-mill garden is 8 inches. Yeah, while maintaining good biome. Fruit tree. Yes, fruit tree. That's why I made the corrections. It's okay. We're all talking about stuff. Plants in moisture areas, like a plenum. Yeah. Plenum, like a forest floor, mulch, mycorrhizae, base, and sandish. Yeah, so your systems that you're doing are, so what he's talking about is a self-contained system, like a terrarium, and that once it has whatever it needs in it, you seal it. I think that's what you're talking about, right? I think I've seen your pictures of that. Yeah. Andy says, so I should build a box like raised bed for the tree to plant it above the ground. That's my recommendation, is to, and you don't even have to build anything. If you want to just put the soil around it, you can put the soil around it. And then make sure you do dig a hole under where you're going to put it, and then mix in the clay, the native clay, with the soil that you have around it. That way the plant has it knows that, oh, I'm getting used to the soil, let's go this way. And then once your hole is dug, stab it several times to make those fissures. Because if you don't have those fissures, you're going to have the same issue. It just would likely impact your plant a little less. But why not do why not do it right the first, the second time? Yeah, so you plant it above the ground, but you have to make sure that it's not like if your tree is here, let's say that's the trunk. It's not going to be like here. Like, you're going to make a mound. Like, you can put some flowers underneath it or something. Strawberries do really well under new trees. It'll do well for like 3 years, and then it'll get shaded out. But you want a big enough mass above ground that it is protected from cold and from heat. Yeah. Verna says, doesn't have to be deep box. In fact, you can do like raised bed without the actual box. Exactly. Yeah. And my recommendation is to do it as deep as the pot that it came in, because that's going to be your crucial roots. And it's going to be kind of that layer. So, I mean, it may only be like that deep, and then it goes into the native soil. Yeah. Tommy says, yep, I'm red clay 1 inch down. Don't till though. I 2 layer tiller, kinda. But I run a pitchfork down through the clay in excess to create fissures for sure. Clay can be your friend if you know how to utilize it. Exactly. So clay is both good and bad. It's good because it holds on to nutrients. It's bad because it holds on to nutrients. It's good because it holds on to clay. It's bad because, or it holds on to water. It's bad because it holds on to water. If you know how to work with it and like making those fissures, understanding that needs to happen, then you're going to be more successful. And Verna says, I always add organic material when making soils. Yep. Tommy says, always something to learn. I know more about canopy plants than anything else. Exactly. And everybody has something to share too. So, and growing in different areas. What I like about gardening and talking to people about gardening is we're all experts. If you've ever had a garden, even if you failed at it, you're an expert, because you're an expert in your own garden, and you're an expert for your own soil and your own microclimate. And you know what works for you, and you know what doesn't work for you. And what works for you may not work for your neighbor, and what works for your neighbor may not work for you. So these are kind of general concepts that I'm sharing, hoping that things will help. Okay. Andy says, I remember the first time I was ever told to add organic matter to the soil. I had no idea what they're talking about. Right. So organic matter can be as simple as when you're making a bed, lay weeds down first. I did that when I just did this. It's basically a micro hugelkultur. Those weeds are going to break down really fast. It's not quite the goal of the hugelkultur, but they're going to break down really, really fast. But it adds those nutrients at the root zone. Next, I added rabbit manure. Rabbit manure is a cold manure. You do not want to add chicken or quail manure directly to your garden. You want to compost that at least 6 months. Depending on where you live, it'll compost faster or slower. That's usually based on, you know, if you have earthworms or black soldier flies, but then also how much moisture you have. So in a drier area, it's not going to compost as fast. In a wetter area, it's going to compost pretty quick. But you want to make sure that the nitrogen is right before you put it on. And if you wait 6 months, you'll be fine. And then after that, I bought raised bed mix, Gardner Bloom. That's just what I did. I've used it before. It's worked out great. And that's kind of the cheating concept where you buy something to get something started. And you really don't have to buy it again. I will probably buy more compost because I have not created enough here for what I need to do here. But once I get into a groove of things, and that might take a few years, I should be able to make enough compost here to have my purposes, you know, to do what I need to do. Yeah. Okay. But that's a good point. Organic matter, you might not know what it is. It just means plants, and I mean, you could put fish heads in the hole, you know, that'll also be good as long as the raccoons don't dig it up. But usually what that means is compost. It could also mean cold manure. Cold manure is manure that comes from animals that pee. Is that correct? I don't know if that's correct all the way around. But the nitrogen comes out in the urine. Everything else is in the manure, which means the manure doesn't have an excess of nitrogen, which means it's safer for plants and can be used directly on the garden. Andy Rabbit, who's on here, she has done a whole garden in just planting in pure rabbit manure, and it worked great. So the amount of rabbit manure I have in this garden is quite a bit. I saved it for that purpose. But yeah, so organic cold manure can be rabbits, goats, guinea pigs, alpacas, llamas. Someone else give me some other things. Anyway, all of those things would be fine to do, to add organic material. Okay, what plants talk about? Oh, thank you, Steve. I'm not going to click on it. I'm just going to trust that you you did the right one. There is also a follow-up to that. I don't remember what it's called, but the lady who does the mycorrhizae talks, she's in either Oregon or Washington. I don't remember her name. Sarah comes to mind, but I don't actually remember if that's her name or not. But she is probably still doing research, I would imagine. She's a professor somewhere, I think. Is she a professor? Anyway, it's wonderful. Watch it. Yeah. Oh, Eric's here. Welcome, Eric, and thank you for the super sticker. Thank you. But now I can't see anything. It got really small again. Uh-oh. I can't scroll. Let me go sideways real quick. Okay. I can see you guys now. Hopefully it changed okay. I couldn't see the text. Thank you, Eric. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going down. What plants talk about is a good thing to watch. It's a really good video. Andy says, yeah. I've recommended it so many times on here. Okay, aquatic. Tommy says, oh, gotta run. Bedtime here. And some being mash is calling. What? Much love, as always. Enjoyed it. Oh, and yes, the roots. It's where the heart is. There's a whole live topic on the communication between roots and fungus. Absolutely. Good night, Tommy. Everybody's saying good night. It's well past 8. My goodness. All right. Andy says the lower branches are brown. I say dead, but the very top is still green, so I have hopes for her. Yeah, if you got it out, I think it'll be fine. And hopefully it recovers. I would maybe wait until it dries out a little bit before you put it back towards the ground, and work on getting a really good, a nutritive soil for that, and do it in a mound. And remember to then stab the hole with your shovel so that you don't basically make a clay pot underneath it again, because that would defeat the purpose. Yeah. Oh, Andy Rabb says the storms are starting for me now. Praying it stays calm. I hope you stay safe. Please get somewhere safe and stay safe. All right. And Verna's taking Lucy out. Say hi to Lucy for us. And Andy says, yes, I do plant straight in rabbit poop. Well, Eric, thank you for the super sticker. And you're at the end of our chat. So I hope you're doing well. All right. Does anybody want to say anything else or have any other questions? We had some good discussion here. Made me feel a little better, which is good. And I'll give you a little bit to see what's going on. Again, I'm without my computer, so let's see if this turns. Yeah, I still can't see the chat. I'm without my computer today. I hope to get it tomorrow. I got to drive an hour to get it though. And yeah. I know, Steve, for someone that was tired and going to end early when full time and plus. Exactly. You know what? Talking about good stuff like this and solving problems, that's something that makes me feel better too. That was the topic, what makes you feel better when you're down. Helping people figure stuff out and knowing that what I know will help people, I think, for me, is really good. Yeah. So for anyone on that wasn't on before, we are doing the Cook With Me Live. We are doing that. Oh, Eric's also a member. I forgot about that. Sorry. We are doing the Cook With Me Live next on June 8th. That is a Sunday. That's going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And you still have time to join. And if you join, you get to also watch the reruns of all the other live Cook With Me's. And we have a lot of fun. So join or watch later. There you go. All right. Andy says, the things I planted in rabbit poop survived the hottest heat of summer when I gave up and quit watering also. Yeah. So it has the whole benefit of that. And I mean, quite a bit of what I did for the raised mounds in the garden is rabbit poo. And so I'm hoping that'll do really well. It worked really well at my old place, but this is a different place, different climate, all that stuff. So yeah. All right, guys, it is 8:23 and I am going to move rabbits and go to bed. Thank you for putting the join the channel link, Steve. Thank you. And thank you to Steve and to Verna for moderating. Everybody clap their hands for them. Thank you. Oh yeah, Andy says tomatoes went ahead and gave a very late crop too. When they have support of nutrients and stuff, they do better. Yeah. Oh, poop jokes aren't Eric's favorite, but they're a solid number 2. That's a good one, Eric. Oh, you got a joke in. Good. And Andy's clapping for the moderators. All right, guys, I am going to say goodnight. I appreciate you guys, and I hope everybody does well with the storms. And if you're not doing well, I hope you do well with the storms. And if you don't have storms, I also hope you're doing well. All right. Good night, guys. Have a wonderful week. We have another week in review from this last week tomorrow. I believe we have a food forest delay video Thursday, and we will see you next Monday. Have a wonderful week.